everyone, welcome back to the channel. This video I thought might be useful because it never actually occurred to me to do it until I realised that I'd picked up some useful information, and it was on trigger finger and painful fingers, painful hands. Now remember, I am a trained massage therapist. I did additional massage qualifications. I also did sports massage with remedial, but I would never call myself a physio because that's a completely different thing. But last year during the lockdown, you couldn't get in touch with a physio here in the UK. It was even quite tricky to get medical advice, and a family member actually developed trigger finger, and it was quite near the beginning of lockdown, and all you could do was take a phone call with the doctor, and the doctor basically said, look, I'll send away a referral, that's all I can do. And long story short, I got straight on it. I did my research. I already knew some useful massage movements and therapies that I thought we could do. See how I'm doing that? Because I'm already getting ready to show you. I also did some research online. We diagnosed it ourselves as trigger finger, so you didn't know 100%. But then when it got to about September or so last year, they actually managed to see a physio, and sure enough, it was the correct diagnosis. So I have to say to you that I was able to use my skills to ascertain it was trigger finger. But as you know, when you are not a doctor, you cannot diagnose. So all I could do was say, it looks to me as though it could be. And the reason that I then went ahead to create like a massage plan was because we couldn't get to see a doctor, we couldn't get to see a GP, we couldn't get to see a physio. So I would say, yes, I would never diagnose, and a lot of the time I do have a fair idea what something is, but you can't be sure if you're not medically trained. And also, I don't really like it when people, I see it a lot in skincare, people that call themselves aestheticians, I find that difficult. Facialists, aestheticians, people like that, and they're very quick online to diagnose things, and it might look like a classic case of something, but unless you're a doctor or a dermatologist, it doesn't matter if it looks like a classic case. We really should be very careful not to say you've got this or you've got that. So I'm saying to you that I was pretty sure it was trigger finger, but I wouldn't have ever said it definitely is. I just happened to be pretty sure, and we didn't have a lot of options. So we did manage to get it under control, but you still have to make sure that you do your massage daily, because in that situation, if you don't keep that area limber and moving, it could come back. There also is rather not a guarantee that you can cure it. There's not a guarantee you can repair. It really does depend on your circumstances. It depends on individual factors. But what I thought I would do is show you the routine that I came up with, that I get this person to do 2 or 3 times a day. They've been doing it for over a year now. It's pretty much gone, but that's not to say that you can't guarantee basically that you can't inflame something, aggravate it, etc. So I would say do your own research. I did my own research. I also found Bob and Brad, who are on YouTube, as extremely helpful. I was also able to draw upon my own experiences and my own training. And I think this could be helpful if you maybe have stiff fingers, sore hands, but do not even attempt to self-diagnose. Do not even attempt to start doing any massages if you are actively in pain and you need to speak to someone, because we're at a situation now where you should actually be able to go and see someone. So on to it. What I suggested a couple of times a day was to start off by massaging the palm of the hand. Little thumb circles, loosening it off. Now, you don't necessarily have to do the full hand, but what I used to say was aim for about 15 of one particular massage move. Do it 15 times. I don't know why we came to that figure. I just figured that was a good 2 or 3 times a day. 15 times would be good to see some progression, and thankfully we did. What it was with the family member was it was the middle finger, so it would go down like this and then struggle to move back up. So what we did was we found almost like the sort of the tendon, like the pulley. We found where that was, and we just focused on that area just to try and loosen off. Basically, it's almost like a bump. Sometimes you can feel the bump, but if you don't know and it's just a stiff sore hand, then just work doing little thumb circles over the palm. And the theory is that if there is something there that's stuck or something there that's tight, then if you do thumb circles all over the palm, then the theory is you'll get there. You'll figure out what it is. Now, if it's just sore, tight, tense fingers, do it on both hands. That's your choice. So other things that you can do is you can try and get the fingers moving. So what you're basically doing is you're holding the hand flat and then you're seeing if you can bend them back, but then also curve them in. So I had my family member actually, now this looks easy to me just now because I don't have a problem. But if you do have a problem, it can be very difficult. You can be doing this. But the theory is it might start off very difficult, but as time goes on, you might actually help to loosen and lubricate those joints. We also got turmeric into their diet because turmeric is an anti-inflammatory. You can also look at apple cider vinegar because that can also help, but don't just start using these things without knowing why you're using them. Turmeric, for me, it was easier to suggest because we couldn't find turmeric root very easily anywhere. It was easier to use the powder and just put it into things like stir fries, into curries, try and incorporate turmeric powder into any dinners where it fitted. So you do this about 15 times, but again, it might be a bit of a struggle at first. It might be one finger that's struggling. You can also move the fingers, bit of the old Star Trek. I can do that. I know some people can't do that, but there you go, I can do that. So just sort of moving the fingers independently of each other. And again, the theory is that you're helping to get everything moving. If there's something not quite right there, then hopefully you're getting there. So again, maybe about 15 times if you can. And again, you're just taking your time. It's your own pace. It's what feels good for you. Then you can also, we've already done this and then we've been stretching it out. You can also just very gently try and straighten. I was doing it myself, but if that's not comfortable, then you could very gently try and just stretch those fingers out. It's whatever feels good to you. Just give them a little stretch. The other thing you can do is get an elastic band, and you're almost using it as if you're using the bands in the gym. You're just stretching out the fingers, and you've got to use an elastic band that's got tension in it, so you're looking for that tension. And again, maybe 12 to 15 times, 2 or 3 times a day. That really helps. And again, even if it's only one hand, you can do it on both hands, and you might find that one hand finds it more of a challenge than the other. It's not a bad idea to do these exercises maybe even weekly, even if you don't have a problem, because you're exercising your hands. Remember we did the finger gymnastics? This is for a different reason because you're actually trying to loosen off an issue, but I suppose we're in the same zone. And then the one thing that I got them to do once a day was we actually worked out where it was in the middle finger. We worked out where the 2 areas were, where there was actually issues. So there were 2 different areas where we could feel the bumps. And again, it just so happened when they saw the physio, we'd done exactly what was needed to do, and we didn't actually, there was no further treatment required. So we were lucky, but that's because we took it seriously and we did it. We scheduled it basically. We made a treatment plan, if you like. So what I got them to do every day was 4 minutes on one area where you could feel the bump, almost like the issue with the pulley, if you like. 4 minutes of doing finger circles. And then after that 4 minutes, another 4 minutes. And for them, again, it just so happened it was here and here. But if you needed to find out, that's what you would do. But again, be guided by a physio. Look at people like Bob and Brad. That's what I did. So that would be 8 minutes in total, 4 here, 4 here. Just the theory is loosening off what might be causing that bump, if you like. And then after we did that 8 minutes, ice. Now you can get the ice cubes that are actually made of a material, could be plastic, you get your different materials. So it's not just a melting ice cube, it's something that you can actually keep in the freezer that you can then refreeze, and then just hold that ice cube in the hand, just gently hold it in that area because that's where the problem was for no more than 4 or 5 minutes. And that's all you had to do just to keep it loose. And then the final thing that we did, because during the night your hand can go into a funny position and you might actually get stuck if it's trigger finger, we actually got a splint, and you can get splints from eBay for a couple of pounds, and the splint just went onto the hand. It just kept that finger straight, slept with the splint on, meaning that yes, of course you're going to have a bit of stiffness because you've kept your hand in one position, but having a little bit of stiffness is much, much better than having a solid sort of hand that's been stuck in one position and then you're trying to loosen it from that position. So if you think you need to, invest in a splint. But again, this is just what I found helped us to get through that trigger finger when you couldn't actually get to a physio, a doctor, anyone. You couldn't get to see anybody. But that's just some advice from my own experiences. But by all means, go to the professionals. But I hope you found that interesting, helpful. Let me know if you've had anything similar or if it's something that you've had experience of with friends, family members. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you again soon.